Hi there, welcome again to the Potato Museum show.
I'm all dressed up because we're going to be celebrating and honoring one of our heroes, Redcliffe Salaman, Dr. Salaman. There he is holding a potato. He is the author of the very unusual and influential book, The History and Social Influence of the Potato, 1949, and then this was the revised edition. And I'm wearing, he was a British potato scientist, and I'm wearing the tie of the British Potato Marketing Board. So we're going to talk a little bit about Redcliffe Salaman and his importance to us, because his concept and the title of his book, The History and Social Influence of the Potato, has guided us for 50 years and has inspired us that there's a lot to this subject which we've explored, which he explored in 700 pages of that book. So we're going to read from the preface, some excerpts from the preface of his book, which he explains how he got involved in all this, because he was a pretty eminent medical doctor and kind of had a total career change. So let's talk about that. Let's hear his own words.
Now that after many years, a record of my studies on the history and economic repercussions consequent on the introduction of the potato is near completion, it may not be inopportune to give some account of how my interest in this otherwise inoffensive vegetable came about. Indeed, there have not been wanting those who have regarded these activities with a shake of the head and indulgent smiles, indicating that nothing short of mental instability could excuse a lifelong attachment to the study of so banal a subject.
Yeah, so we've been pursuing this subject for off and on 50 years, and we've had a lot of people shake their heads and find that this is a bizarre subject to be focused on. So we completely identify with Redcliffe on this. But he and many others who get all this subject, have understood that it's an important topic and it's a lifetime pursuit. Let's see what else he has to say.
Go on here. My career as a medical man and pathologist was brought by illness to a sudden close in 1903. I retired to what promised to be a life of ease and leisure in the beautiful village north of London. In less than a couple of years, my health was completely restored, and I was able once more to lead a physically active life. 32 years of age, happily married, free from financial cares, I was at loose ends as to what to do with my life. Wouldn't we all like that? Yeah. Anyway, I was interested in pursuing something to do with genetics and just needed a subject, perhaps a vegetable. I confided to my gardener, Mr. Evan Jones. Had he any suggestions to make? Jones was one of those men who, within the ambit of their own profession, feel themselves to be all but omniscient. His answer, prompt and to the point, remains fixed in my memory. Quote, "If you want to spend your time on vegetables, then you had better choose this potato, for I know more about the potato than any man living." This seemed a promising beginning, and I asked him to procure for me 2 distinct varieties.
Yeah, this was in 1906, and he spent 25 years, Redcliffe, studying the potato, doing all sorts of work on disease-resistant varieties. I mean, he became a really important potato breeding scientist. He wrote this book, Potato Varieties. It was basically a textbook for a long time. He was involved in all sorts of projects to import wild varieties of potatoes that could be used in breeding programs in the UK. So a seriously important contribution to disease-free potatoes was what he was doing.
But he wrote, "Whether the potato and I were destined for a life partnership, I do not know. But from that moment, my course was set, and I became ever more involved in problems associated directly or indirectly with a plant with which I then had no particular affinity, gustatory or romantic."
And we've experienced the same thing, because we started this potato museum with my students in Belgium when we realized that it was suggested that the potato merited its own museum. And I signed my students. I said, well, what could possibly be so important to the potato that it deserves its own museum? And that's what
But
launched
back
us
to
all
Evan
on.
Jones, remember Evan Jones? In directing my faltering footsteps towards the potato, Jones may have shown greater circumspection than even he was consciously aware, because the potato is in many ways the ideal subject for biological research. Here then was the subject awaiting an author.
Yeah, and here again was the subject awaiting our study to develop this potato museum collection. And along the way, we found out that the potato is responsible, and he helped us understand for the growth of a population explosion. Wherever the potato has gone around the world, it has eliminated chronic malnutrition. Some of our shows, the Potato Museum shows, discuss all these topics. So continuing with what he had to say in his preface. For many years, I waited to see whether it would appeal to some professional student of history or economics. As time went on, it became increasingly unlikely that any such, with a reputation to lose, would commit himself to a subject deemed by the many as having no more scientific value or importance than a cookery book.
It was only after
Such
much
hesitation.
hesitation that I determined to make the attempt myself. Without training as economist, as historian, I am acutely aware of the lack of equipment for so difficult a task, for which my only credentials are a scientific training and abiding interest in my fellow
man and
or
woman. At the end of his
Thank you.
At the end of his preface, and Salaman acknowledges the people who helped him, and he ends with, "Not least is the pleasure it gives me to acknowledge my indebtedness to my secretary, Edith M. Hagar, who for nearly 40 years was given me unstinted help in every branch of this work, and my gardener, Martin Hayes, who for nearly as long assisted me in the raising of the many thousands of seedlings used in the course of my research into the potato." So we salute Dr. Redcliffe, Nathan Salaman, and
Evan Jones
and all the people,
Marvin and all the people
who
make these projects possible.
And some years ago, I had the opportunity to meet two of his surviving. He had 5 children. 2 of his surviving. This is Raphael Salaman, and this is Meyer, and this is Raphael, and these 2 went on to distinguished careers in their own right. Anyway, thanks for joining us.
Well, hey, did you take all that in? There will be a test next time.
Thanks for joining us. I'll see you again on another Potato Museum show.
Have fun. Bye.